Hello, 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 hello.
All right, hey there, I'm Brian Smart, and we are talking about content creation today. Again, I'm Brian Smart. I'm the founder of Content Creation University. I am here to help you create content strategy. And I know you want to create a long-term content strategy for your business. And by the end of this training, you'll understand how to create a well-planned content strategy in one day. So I've gotten a lot of questions over the last few months about developing a content strategy, and I decided to create a micro training series to help. And I'd like to thank you for being a part of our first lesson in this free content training series. So let's get into it. Let's talk about why long-term content planning is important. I know you're eager to start creating content, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if you don't have the right strategy in place, you shouldn't expect to be successful in the long term. Knowing how to plan and organize your content initiative sets you up for long-term success, and having a strategy provides a roadmap to help keep your content organized and consistent. It also helps give you the confidence to make decisions about the content that you're creating, what formats you're using, when to publish, and again, how to stay organized. Because the more content you create, the harder it becomes to stay organized. So we'll have a Q&A, a live Q&A at the end where I answer your questions. So keep up and take good notes. Let's start with the who. So starting with the who, if you know who you're talking to and what they want, it makes it a lot easier to create content. Uh, your content strategies help you align with your content goals and the goals of your business, right? And the first step in deciding what content you're going to make is creating a buyer persona and developing a buyer journey. So let's start with what you do was the first step you'll take in creating a buyer persona. So you'll want to audit your audience and find the top three performers and the top three things they have in common, and then study each person. List the demographic and psychographic characteristics your buyers share, right? So the demographics are going to help you identify the people you've identified based on their age, gender, income, children, habits, hobbies, anything that would be relevant to your business. The psychographics will help you understand what your buyer enjoys, values, believes. Psychographics are where you really get to learn your buyer, right? Start to identify your buyer's dreams and goals. What are your perfect buyers trying to achieve? Are they looking to increase revenue? Are they trying to connect with leaders in a particular industry? Are they trying to increase market share? Then make a list of your perfect buyer's goals that align with your offer. A well-aligned conversation on LinkedIn will give you tons of valuable information that you can use to help you build your perfect buyer. Right? So start to identify the challenges and pain points your buyers face after you start having these conversations. and it'll help you help them reach their goals, right? Does your buyer need marketing help? Are they having trouble creating content? Are they finding it hard to manage time efficiently? Right? Write down these challenges and pain points that your business can solve, right? How can you help? How does your solution remove the pain? How can you help them reach their goal? And can you give them something they need, want, and enjoy? Right? All of those things are critical in helping you determine your perfect buyer, right? And in determining your perfect buyer, it'll help you set your objectives and goals for your content, right? Because again, if you don't know who you're creating it for, then you're not going to know what to create. So let's jump right into setting objectives and goals, right? Defining your objective is an important step in the planning process of your content. It helps you clarify your goals and stay focused on what you want to achieve. Right? 7 steps you can follow to start defining your objectives are defining the outcome you want to achieve. That's where it starts, right? Because if you don't know what you want to accomplish, it's going to be hard to measure and point out the specificity of your content, right? So make sure you define those outcomes that you want to achieve. Identify the reasons why it's important, why your content is important, right? Understanding the purpose of the objective of your content and the benefits that it provides to your perfect buyer. Number 3, assess the current situation, right? Look at what's going on in the market, what your competition is doing, right? What your buyers are doing, what the overall economy is doing. Identify the key performance indicators, right? How long your visitors stay on a particular page, how many emails are they opening, and how many clicks are they taking from those emails, right? Determining your KPIs will help you measure your success and track the progress of your content. Okay. So let's determine the resources that we need. That's going to be number 5, right? That's time, money, personnel, uh, software, anything that you need to help you achieve your objective. And set a deadline. It's really important here, right? Setting a deadline gives you a realistic time frame to achieve your objective. And last, number 7, let's create a plan of action. That's what we're doing now, right? We're developing a plan of action, outlining the specific steps that we'll take to optimize your content and achieve your objective. Let's take a 5-minute recess, 5-second recess while I see what's the matter with my dog. I'll be back in 5. And I'm back. Some things you just can't plan for. So let's remember when setting your goals, not to overwhelm yourself with setting your goals, right? Study the basic principles, make broad strokes, and create a plan to see yourself through your goals. Take notes and optimize from what you've learned. That's how I set my goal structure. And 4 types of goals that I use to help develop my content. To help develop my content are waterfall goals, and I use waterfall goals to help me uh, set up my long-term objectives, right? So waterfall, an example of a waterfall goal would be launching a new website for the company within the next 12 months. Water goals are a type of goal that help you build a series using incremental steps. And it's similar to the water flows down a series of cascading steps in a waterfall. I think that's pretty self-explanatory, isn't it? Right. So the second goal type I use is sequence goals. Sequence goals are goals that are designed to be accomplished in a specific order. See, there's that word again, specificity. Developing a comprehensive onboarding program for new employees over the next 6 months would be an example of a sequence goal. So I use sequence goals to help me with my more immediate objectives, right? And then we've got activity goals, right? So the activity goals are focused on tasks that need to be completed that day. Usually, uh, activity goals don't last longer than 30 minutes, right? So an example would be implementing a 30-minute daily team meeting to improve communication and collaboration among my team members, right? And last, I like to use stretch goals. Stretch goals help you to grow. They help you to challenge yourself, right? Stretch goals are ambitious and they're designed to help you outperform and push you beyond your current capability. An example of a stretch goal would be increasing company revenue by 25% within the next fiscal year. That's a pretty lofty stretch goal, but doable with a well-planned strategy, right? So the next thing we're going to talk about in developing your well-planned content strategy, rock solid content strategy, is a rock solid and well-executed content audit. This will help you identify the resources you already have in place and save you some time, right? Organize your audit with these categories. Content type, buyer journey phase, life cycle phase, content format, content topic, buyer persona, and notes. And the fourth step in developing a rock solid content strategy is generating content ideas. You know, this is the hard part, but it's also the most fun part, right? Because this is where you get to this is where you get to be creative, right? This is where you get to just do some brainstorming, just let your thoughts flow without trying to make them perfect, right? Generating ideas quickly can improve your content in a number of ways. And four techniques that I use to come up with ideas easily. Before we jump into the techniques that I use to develop content ideas easily, let's let's talk about the ways content can help you improve. Generating ideas quickly can help you improve your content, right? So you can move to and there's my daughter again. But creating content helps you to come up with large volumes of ideas that increases the chance of you finding a viral piece of content or a niche in your content offering that your competitors haven't found, right? Using techniques like the ones we're about to discuss, such as brainstorming and free thinking, you can encourage yourself to break outside of your conventional thoughts and come up with innovative ideas, right? It also helps you to identify new angles and perspectives, right? So you can expose yourself to a wider range of possibilities and interesting content, right? It helps you stay relevant and timely because you stay up to date on the trends that resonate with your audience. Generating ideas quickly can help you create more and better content that meets the needs and interests of your target audience, right? And four techniques that I use to help with my ideation of my content ideation is one, brainstorming. Brainstorming, I think everybody knows, I believe everybody knows or is familiar with what brainstorming is, but it's just gathering with a group of people and coming up with as many ideas as you can within a given time frame, right? No matter how crazy or unconventional, it's just having fun with your thoughts, right? And free writing is the same, except it's just you and your thoughts, right? And mind mapping is another really lucrative mind mind for mining your thoughts, right? Mind mapping is phenomenal. It helps you to develop a central concept of theme, and then you can just branch out, right? It's really great when you start thinking about your content creation model. I use something called a cog and sprocket model. It's a cluster framework, and it, all it does, it uses one central piece of content to create 200 plus pieces of content, right? And it's the cog and sprocket model has been instrumental in helping me develop my content strategy. Right? Another good one is taking a walk. Sometimes a change of scenery can help stimulate new ideas, right? Enjoy the fresh air, get some sun, right? Get the energy from the trees. Just go for a walk in the forest. It's amazing. It'll give you going for a 30-minute walk will give you more ideas than anything else. And one other place I like to come up with ideas, the shower. It's a really good place. I didn't include that, but taking showers really helps me to come up with ideas. First thing in the morning, it really gets the new runs popping. And last, number 5, using prompts, word lists, and templates to help get your creative juices flowing, right? I use a lot of prompts and templates in creating my posts for LinkedIn, and it's increased my productivity 300%. You know, and that's not That's not overstating it, right? If you weren't creating anything and you go from 0 posts every day to 3 posts a day, 7 times a week, it's probably a little bit more than 300%, but I'm being modest, right? So just to recap, the 4 steps you need to take to develop a rock solid content strategy. The first step is identifying your buyer persona and journey. The second step is auditing your content. The second step is not auditing your content, it's setting objectives and goals, right? That's the second step. The third step is auditing your content. And the fourth step is generating content ideas. My daughter coming in really got me excited. I'm ready to go have some fun with her now. Okay. So we're going to wrap this up. Any questions from our illustrious audience?
Hey, Brian.
Hey.
Hey, good. The stuff works so far.
Listen, I was saying the exact same thing. I was hoping I didn't do that whole spiel to myself.
Yes, I know. This isn't really about generating content, but I didn't know if you were going to get into niching and just talking about niches or not.
Yeah, I talked about that a little bit last night. We can go over some of that right now. That's a huge part of the perfect buyer.
Well,
So
I've got a lot of experience in marketing,
okay.
but I was on the radio for 30 years.
And who am I speaking with? What's your name?
This is Royce.
Hey, what's up? I thought that was you, Royce.
So yeah, I know we go back and forth on posting and stuff. I love your content. So
Thanks,
but so my challenge, and I've heard both sides, you don't have to worry about niching, and obviously the other is it'd be a whole lot easier if I knew I was, if I only wrote for plumbers, I know where to find them, and I know where to market to them.
right.
So but my challenge is I've had such a varied background, and radio is, there's very few humans left in radio these days. So it's really not a viable market to actually, market to. So I've so far I've written for 11 different industries, which is fun, and I love learning new stuff, but you know how much, extra work that is when you have to learn a subject.
Cool. Yeah.
At least well enough to, to sell something or provide content. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
So, when it comes down to defining a niche and filtering your categories, I believe that it really depends on what you're doing. If you're trying to grow an audience base, if you're just getting started and you're trying to build, I believe your initial content, your top of funnel content should not be too filthy, right? If you don't already have a target audience, because it sounds like you're trying to find who your target audience is. Am I hearing you right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's I'm kind of leaning towards email more now. So I don't think, that doesn't really matter as much, I think, versus, because I've written a lot of blogs and a lot of website copy and things like that, which is, a little more important to be somewhat of a subject matter expert. But, it is, as far as email goes, it's a little more forgiving. But I'm just like, gosh, I need something that, once, you want to jump out of bed in the morning and actually be excited about sharing something.
Absolutely. So let me ask you a couple of questions. Where are you with your audience now? Like how often do you post and what do you post about?
Well, I've been doing, it's mostly I shouldn't say one-offs, but, short projects for a lot of different people. So I don't really have a brand,
Okay.
and it's kind of hard, for me, it's been hard to distinguish, okay, what does this guy that, talked on the radio forever and, major markets, have to do with copywriting.
Well, it's got a lot
And
to do with it, actually.
well,
I mean,
I keep trying.
I know you probably don't think so because you're coming from the world of radio, but content is content.
Oh, absolutely. And I know, I mean, I used to say, the hard part isn't getting up at 3:30 in the morning. It's being funny at 5. That's the hard part. So,
Yeah, that's the hard part.
I had to, you had to be, and it's all live. So, you had to come up with stuff instantly. So, you know, ideating and coming up with good content isn't the problem. It's, for me anyway, it's been finding the right, the right channel or the right way to go.
Right, me, yeah. So let me ask you a couple of more questions. It sounds like we might do to jump on a one-on-one call just to kind of get a background uh,
Sure.
for the work that you've done up to this point. But the the content that you've created thus far, what topics have you enjoyed the most, and which uh, which which categories have have you seen the most?
Well, I've written, give you a, I've written for, everything. I've done a lot for jewelers.
Okay.
I've done a lot for, gosh, there's so many. I've done dentists. I've also, probably my favorite so far was this gentleman who was trying to bring roller derby back to Canada. So I had to learn all about roller derby, which was fun.
I love roller
So
derby.
it's 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 really varied, and obviously being somewhat with a warped sense of humor, I would much rather write something that you can have some fun with. I also wrote for memory care centers, so Alzheimer's and things like that. So
Okay. What so of those three that you just named, which one did you find to be the most fulfilling?
well, obviously roller derby, because I could make jokes,
Right, obviously.
but and yeah, I see, there's, as I'm sure there's several let's call them irreverent marketers who don't care about hurting feelings or swearing or whatever, that are doing really well. And that's another one. It's like, how much of a lane do I want to be in? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah. So it it really goes down to defining who that person is, that one person that you find yourself talking to in all of your writing, right? In all of your content. Who's that? What's that model look like? What's that person look like? Like that's something that I believe that's something we need to talk a little bit further about. Because that'll help you That'll help you decide whether or not you should use profanity, whether or not you should be making jokes. It's all about finding out who that person is and what they like.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, and obviously every business is different too. And so, if you've got a client that does have a sense of humor, that makes, life a lot easier. Others, as I'm sure you've run across, one it's strictly, by the book, and,
Book.
where
Yeah,
these are our rules. And
yeah,
so,
got to do. I just got off a call with a prospect a couple of weeks ago, and I made a few jokes on the call, and I could tell that they didn't like the jokes, and needless to say, I didn't get the contract.
right. Yeah. Or would you want to, work with that kind of person for
That's right.
months?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I was telling a friend of mine that a couple of days ago that I missed out on that contract, and it was a pretty big contract, but I don't believe it would have been uh, beneficial health wise long term.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been perplexing for me because you're hitting walls. Um, not only, well, for me, it's also age. I probably have socks older than you, Brian. Let's put it that way.
You
So
remind me of have you ever seen the guy have you ever seen the movie with Samuel Jackson and Pam Grier? It's a Quentin Tarantino film. I forgot the name of it. And I forgot the name of it. But the guy that was in there, he said the exact same thing in the movie. And every time I hear somebody say something about socks being older than me, I hear him do it.
yeah,
It's
been
Jackie
around a while.
Brown. The
Yes.
movie's Jackie Brown.
Jackie Brown. That's it.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah,
You're going
Yeah.
way
Denzel
back.
Washington.
Yeah. So it's, for
But Royce, can I interrupt here? I think
absolutely.
I think you should go. First, I'm hearing your voice. I know nothing about you. I've been in marketing a long time as well. Like when you're like you said, you're older. To me, I just immediately thought that you were in broadcasting. So why don't you do a podcast since you love radio and hearing your voice? You sound like you've been doing radio on air for years. You have a wealth of information and you've been working with a lot of different types of clients. And I'm sure there would be people who would tune in to listen to get information, valuable information about the different clients that you've worked with, your experience with freelancing, your experience with writing for different audiences, because
And
that
who is
puts
this?
this is Felicia. I'm sorry. Hi, good, nice to see you,
Hey,
Brian. I love your
no, hey,
content.
great. I just wanted to know. That's a great idea, Felicia. That
Yeah,
that
I
was,
think
that was something that I was thinking when we
yeah,
first got on the call and he told me about his
yeah.
radio experience.
I'm
Yeah,
thinking that's the best thing for you because you know radio,
yeah.
and
Right.
and podcasting and audiobooks are the big thing. Look, you can tell I've been in marketing for a really long time with different clients. I think that's your niche because you could do audiobooks for additional income, and you could talk about working behind the scenes in radio, what goes into because the skill set that you have for radio is perfect for podcasting. It's the exact same thing, except for you're doing it for your individual. So the tech side of you could see, this is what I've learned. And I'm like redoing my business. I'm a huge proponent of professional development. So I'm always in development classes. And I was at a women's seminar that they hosted about, I guess, around October or March of this year, which was great. And they said, stop what you're doing, everything that everybody is doing, focus on just these things. Because what I do is I help busy C-level executives and entrepreneurs. I help them with thought leadership. So I work on personal branding, bespoke personal branding. I've done marketing communications 35 years, so I'm able to promote them myself. And then I do obviously content creation. So one of the things that they talked about is that I pivoted from doing PR and marketing and advertising, PR, all these different things. And they said you only need to focus on a couple of things. everybody who is successful in life, no matter who they are, what thought leader they are, think about what the announcer says when they're about to get on the stage. They're an award-winning fill in the blank. So she use Oprah, use Gary Vee. So win an award in your industry. The second thing, they're the author of the following book, write a book. And what's their way to expand their knowledge base? They offer a course. So they're known for a certain methodology, trademark that methodology, 5-step, the 5P program, whatever it is. And they're available for guest podcasting and personal appearances. That's it. That's all everybody has to focus on. So I stopped what I was doing, and that's what I'm working on now, because you have a wealth of information. So work on a book. Your experiences, the storytelling, your brand storytelling, and the lessons that you learned that will apply to the businesses that you've actually worked in. So instead of researching all these different things, it's like I go to seminars and I attend workshops, CMO appliance conferences where they're talking about, get your book up and running in 12 weeks, work for a company and select a publishing company that's going to do your branding, your workshop, and get your stories and construct what you want your people to learn in terms of outcome, and connect that to a story for every outcome, so that people that are reading it that like to hear stories are fulfilled, and people who came for the information, who just want to do the how-to, step 1, step 2, then you actually have basically the outline for your course. That's what I was just doing the other day. And it makes things so much more simpler, because whatever you've been doing, only you've done that. That's the only, you have everyone has taken a different path in life. I was laid off 4 times. That's the reason I know marketing, advertising, PR, social media. Because I had to reinvent myself when I got laid off and learn another talent in addition to stay in the industry and reinvent myself. So I worked in crisis management. That became my specialty in marketing communications. So I worked at advertising and then got laid off. The first thing people cut in a bad economy is advertising. So I
Yes, I know.
learned that, the value is that everything is cyclical. So when the economy is great, everyone hires a PR firm, an advertising agency, and a whole bunch of outsourced professional companies. It's almost a moniker, it's a status symbol to say, well, I've got to talk to my firm, I've got to do these things. And then when the economy starts getting bad, the first thing they do is start asking you to give them templates for things, or can you show them things, because they're about to take everything in-house. Once they take everything in-house, they get rid of the agency. They hire 4 or 5 people to try to replicate that. The economy gets worse. They start laying off individual employees. And then who do they hire? They hire people who have multiple talents. So if they hire me, they know I can do all of it. That's what they do. I walked into offices where they used to have, a team of 35 in marketing in their department. Now they just have whoever the VP of marketing is, they have someone who is going to, actually implement the program. They're looking for strategy, or they hire you to come back to help them do the kickoff of the implementation. And they have a couple people answering the phone. The economy gets better, they start hiring more consultants. You know what I mean? So I've gone through that cycle multiple times, the 80s, the 90s, I can tell you what was going on. So here we are going again into a downward economy. And what they talked about in the conference is that we're going to be the most valuable people, the people who have the most experience. They're not looking for the new jacks. They've done that. They've gotten rid of people who were really experienced and hired 2 or 3 people for that one salary. But that person can't direct them in a storm. You need to be able to have someone who's actually been a captain, someone who can be a navigator. So all the wealth of experience that you have, you really should start writing a book, but not like she said, don't write a book that says I was born on a farm. You write a book that says, you know what, start your book off, I've been laid off 4 times. What's it like to be laid off? What's the steps that are taken? And then give a story for each thing. So in your experience that you've worked with all these, put them in categories, but talk about how you got into the industry, what you learned from the industry, your insights, and you give a story for each one. And then I would seriously consider launching your own podcast and talking about those things and working on your book. And then I would do audiobooks because you have the voice for audiobooks. And if you get really good at audiobooks, you could actually start doing like, voiceovers for films and, little cartoon characters and all that kind of great stuff. And, and then just work on applying for some sort of industry award that you can get that's relevant, that's been less than 5 years. And that's how you don't have to pay $10,000 to get this blue check mark. Just get your own book there. And they, talked about how there's like 129 people that we've never heard of that have exactly that. They won an award, they have a book, they either offer workshops or some sort of way to give their information out so they don't have to do one-on-one consultations and work with that, create a workshop. See, because once you have a book, then you have a workbook, then you can create a workshop and then sign 20 people up as opposed to just one-on-one work, and then have templates and digital products so you can make money while you sleep.
Right.
That sounds amazing, Felicia.
So
the only thing about that is that that's kind of like putting the cart before the horse. Like what you're talking about is content creation, right? So before you take the steps to start developing that book or that podcast or that series, right, you really need to develop a long-term strategy, right, to help keep
Exactly.
all of the content organized.
Right. And you do have to, like you said, you have to have the content strategy, you have to have the marketing strategy, you have to have like the reason people ask me, why are you on IG at all? And I said, because that's my library of content. So when it's the only platform where people can see visually your whole library of content at one time, uninterrupted, and they pretty much knowing your buyer's journey as well. So that I know if I'm on Clubhouse. So when I'm on Clubhouse, people tell me that what they do is they check out your IG because they can only check out 2 platforms, Twitter or IG. They check out my IG and they basically randomly pick 4 or 5 different posts. They look at who my following is. They look to see if I've been on the Explorer's page. Then they go to my website. Then they go to LinkedIn, and then they will DM me. That's like kind of my buyer's journey. So what you're saying is that content is so important to have that library of quality, high quality content.
Yeah, it's like building a bank. It's like building a content bank. IG is your content bank. That's where you store. That's where
Exactly.
you store your repository.
Yeah, exactly. And LinkedIn is basically what people use for confirmation of your expertise.
Yeah.
That gives you credibility. So every, the different platforms provide whatever, but it was just so interesting and it provided such clarity that a lot of people in their strategy, they're doing things and they're trying to do too many things. Like they're trying to do all these different things. And you're like, no, you just have to, as you said, have a strategy, have, your authority and credibility, that you have testimonials, you have case studies, you have clients that you've worked for, you have proof. We've all been in the business for a while. You know what the social proof that you actually have, and you have clients that you've worked for, and then you have a strategy that you've been implementing, and in that strategy that you've been implementing, at some point you've created kind of your own methodology, whatever
Felicia,
that
are you still using Clubhouse?
Yeah, but I'm a guest on I'm a guest. I'm in the marketing cafe. So I don't do the other individual rooms. The first thing I did was join the marketing cafe. It's a lot different because it's a team. Everyone has their individual show. I use that to help showcase me, and I grew my business by 20% last year when I got on it. Because someone said you should be on Clubhouse, and I said, "Is that still a thing?" That's what I. And yeah, there's people that tune in. I pretty much average about 40 people, 50 people every week. And so I have a master class.
That's fantastic. Royce, are you on any other platform besides LinkedIn?
Very seldomly, but yes, I have been. I've been more on Facebook lately, which I surprisingly is getting response from. I kind of blew that off for a few years, but if I can just give you guys the 30,000 foot view here, I totally get what you're saying. As a matter of fact, I was a marketing coach, well, still am, for almost 20 years. So, and it's still an incredible program. The challenge with our marketing coaching program is it's individuals and we take them through. So it's weekly calls with individual businesses, and it's really time intensive, but it's an awesome program. Anyway, so I know a lot about the entire business, universe as far as that goes. I am working on a book right now, and actually a lot closer than I think. And basically, it's. I want to talk to small business owners. Like the working title right now is the easiest ways to make your business suck. Because, and then I take everything, and turn it around, not knowing.
Who was your buyer model when you created that title? Because that's not a typical title.
I've been talking to a lot of guys about self-publishing, and their basic premise is your book can basically suck as long as it's provocative, if it sticks out. And so by turning things around, it's just creating interest. It's marketing itself. So that's why I'm kind of headed that way. But it would involve, yes. I've also been a public speaker for a long time. So I've done a ton of seminars. So it would be, your basic, I could see, now a webinar, whatever, with slides and the whole 9 yards and walking through all these systems. And then, obviously, selling them the book and then moving him up the the upsell ladder. As far as podcasting goes. Go ahead, Brian.
No, I didn't mean. I thought you.
Oh, I thought you wanted to say something there. Podcasting, I understand the lure for a lot of people, but I just checked it a couple of days ago. Now they don't last, but there on average almost 1 million new podcasts launched every month.
Wow.
So yeah, it's almost 1 million a month.
Podcasts are being launched every month now.
Every month. And most of them die out after 2 episodes.
Oh yeah,
but
there's a lot of work involved. There's a lot of
absolutely. So and the idea of being, having your own show, being your own disc jockey, that's, old to me. That's work to me. I did mornings for 5 years in San Diego. I've worked in LA. I don't want to go through my U-Haul Million Milers Club list here, but I've been on the mornings in Phoenix and Portland and Kansas City. So, it's,
Have you, so you haven't created a podcast at all up to this point. Is that correct?
No, because I've been on a bunch, but there's not, there's no yearning for me to start a podcast.
So
did you like guest
podcast?
Oh, absolutely. I love it because I was pop one with the best voice. Are you kidding me?
Yes, that's what I mean. You do. You really do. Listen, Brian, I thought I had the wrong channel because when he started talking, I was like, wait, am I on this is a podcast? I thought it was a podcast. When you guys start having a conversation. Yeah. So that's what I was like, come on, guest podcasting. You don't have to do your own show. You can guest podcast. You're still going to build authority and, get people. And if you like that, I think it would be great. Like you said, you just have a strategy about what shows you're going on and what you're going to be talking about and selling. But obviously the selling is, yeah.
Authority. Yeah, and I think
build authority. That's
becomes more important if you build.
Yeah, and the bottom line is, I don't really, up to this point, just selling copywriting services is not. I've got to get the book done. That's probably number one right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and
So,
that's
so
that was it.
everyone, I hate to cut this off, but
You gotta go
we're
play
running,
with your daughter.
yeah, we're running out of minutes here. I got to go outside and jump on a swing. Uh, does anybody have any final thoughts?
Well, what's your last name, Felicia, so we can connect on?
It's Ward, Felicia
Ward.
Ward. I'm on LinkedIn. That's how I saw
It's in,
Brian.
yeah, it's in the comments, Royce.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
put it in the comments. I figured you want to connect with it. Yes.
Well, Brian, I just had a quick question about the cog and when you were talking about the sprout. What do you recommend? Because I use mind mapping. Is there any particular tool that you recommend for the sprout and the
The
cog,
cog
cog
and
and sprout?
sprocket content
Uh-huh.
model.
Hmm.
So I'm old school, Felicia. I've been in the game a little while, and when I first started doing this, I was using Excel and Word and
Mm.
and and Notepad. So
Oh.
I'm not really too much into a lot of these tools. I think the more tools you involve, the more you get involved into the tools and less involved into the work. Because every
Just
time
write
you
it. Good
use
old
a
fashioned
new tool,
paper. You can write it out.
yeah,
Well, I
no,
usually do
seriously,
that
because
anyway.
every time you use a new tool, you have to learn a new interface, and it's overwhelming, right? So the model that I created it was a pen and paper model, right?
Mhm.
I did it on a whiteboard, and it's really just it's really just a cluster model. I don't know if either of you are familiar with Gary V, but he
Yes.
talks
Mhm.
about he talks
Mhm.
about I say that because a friend of mine had never heard of him before. And they were floored. They were like, oh man, I found this little squirmy guy online and he's got some great content. He's full of energy. And I was like, yeah, oh yeah. Well, send me his link. Let me check him out. And I looked at the link and I was like, man, that's Gary V, man. I thought, I thought everybody knew Gary
You
V.
thought he had found something new.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
everybody knew. But that pillar content model that he has is basically the same thing as uh as a topic cluster content model.
Mhm.
So when
Mhm.
you're creating, and this is why what you were saying about the podcast really stuck out to me is
Mhm.
because building a podcast actually gives you all of the other content that you'll need, right? So one
Exactly.
30-minute podcast, man, you can fleece a 30-minute podcast out into 3 months worth of content.
And that's what I'm working on now is that the shows that I've done on Clubhouse, I'm using what's it called? Well, I forgot what it's called, but it's basically the tool, like an AI tool to take what you said verbally and turn that into text. And
And
then I
turn it
can,
into.
yeah,
Hey,
I
so
can,
have you tried Open Chat? Open Chat is great if that's what if you're using AI and it's free.
yeah. Oh, yeah, but that's what I was going to get into was open chat. And then I'm supposed to go to a chat GPT little quick tutorial because I have used copy AI, but oh God, what is it called? Otter AI,
Right.
because I need
Yeah,
it to be,
Otter. I love Otter.
yeah.
Otter's
So I'm
great.
going to use Otter because I can take the audio and it will turn it into text for me, and then I can just edit that. And then, like you said, use the multiple pieces of content so that I can do blog, your newsletter, and then break that
And hey,
down.
and it's it's not just blogs and newsletters. You should also think about whether it's going to be a contrarian view, whether it's going to be
Mm, mm-hmm,
past or present, whether it's going to be a list, whether it'll be personal opinion. Right? There's so many different avenues that you can go down with
mm-hmm,
making it into content. You can, if you let's say you were to make a list of all of your top clubhouse sessions.
mm-hmm.
Right? Each one of those lists actually turns into another 200 pieces of content, right?
Wow,
Just from one list, right? Because each item in that list can ultimately be its own topic.
that's awesome.
It
So,
is, and the
uh,
content
uh,
is amazing.
well, that's the reason I did the program after I heard because I did it a couple times with Clubhouse. Then he says, "No, you should start doing marketing masterclass." And I said, "That's what I'll do." So every week I do a marketing masterclass on a topic, and every week I get a discovery call out of it
Every
because
single week. I know it's crazy, right?
every single week. Okay,
Royce
so
and
so
I are
when people,
jumping on a call next week. because of this meeting.
See?
If,
Yeah.
if he's
So,
got some time, it may not be next week, but we're definitely gonna jump on a call because I want to learn more about your radio experience.
mhm. See? And all those people want to know this information. And when you have a master class of something, you're getting the niche market. When I say that this is what I'm going to talk about, if you do a master class on brand storytelling, the people that are interested in brand storytelling show up. You don't have people showing up that want to sell you makeup and all this other crazy stuff. And
And that
so
has
you know,
that's been a pinnacle of my career is getting to the people that
mhm,
are interested, right? So you don't
mhm,
waste all the time.
right. And those are the people that will sign up for a paid master class. Those are the people that will sign up, that will buy your book because they have a sample of what it is that you've already done. They
And
kind
they're
of know your
already
work.
interested.
They're already interested. So, like you said, Brian, having a podcast or at least guest podcasting, you have everything that you need in one. And that's what I'll tell clients for, they're building brand authority. Is like, once you have whatever your vehicles are that your selling point, let's get you on some guest podcasting, because the purpose of the podcast is not going to be to sell your gear. When you get
No,
there, they're going to spend 80% of the time asking you about your story. And then the last 20 minutes, now that you've connected with their audience, now you get to talk 10 minutes about whatever it is that you have going on. And then they're going to help you because that connects with their audience. So having, like you said, Michael, Brian, making sure you have all of the content and your ducks in a row. Don't just go to the podcast empty handed. Go there with the intent of telling your brand story more for connection, and then going from there to go ahead and promote the other things that you have, your book, your templates, your digital products, your services, your workshops. That's the whole thing. And then you get known, like they said, work on developing and documenting a methodology that you have. And what I tell people all the time is that the reason it's so important to have your own personal bespoke brand is because people don't remember. People, it's more important. There was an article that kind of changed my life. It was in Time magazine, and it talked about workforce 2025 in 1994. And eventually it said there will only be there's like 50 to 80 industries in the world. There'll just be 50 to 80 industry companies. What's already happened, and that everybody would become a slave to the rhythm. There'll be one hospital company, one telephone company. All the others are subsidiaries, and whoever's number one might change, but the people who will survive it are going to be the people who are consultants, and worry about your getting certifications to show what you've done for the last 18 months. Nobody cares that you have 2 PhDs and master's degrees if you got them 10 years ago. So keep your certifications up, showing people what you have, and be able to build a library of content, what you talked about in terms of strategy, to make sure that you become an authority in your industry, not your company. You don't want to be, the best marketing person in MCI, because when MCI was gone, now you want to be the best person that's in marketing. And what's your niche in marketing? So if you're in marketing, learn banking, learn finance, learn real estate, whatever the realm in that circle, learn that realm, because then you'll be able to become more valuable. So that's what I start doing. And that's really what helped my career, was that I said, you know what, I was doing corporate stuff and agency stuff. And then when I started doing the corporate stuff, when there were crises would happen, murder, death, kills, shooting, stabbings, whatever it is, I got really good at doing that and doing the media veils, and writing content for who? C-level executives. I'm writing their positioning statement. I'm writing their talking points. And so I come at them in a different way. All these other people who have been doing thought leadership, they're kind of like just doing the talking head thing. And I'm like, no, I only want to work with servant leaders, and I'm going to get you there faster because I know how hard your job is. If I work with you and somebody was killed at your company, I think I can help get you on CNN. I know how to help you do these certain things. So in the article, that's what it talks about. It's like what you're doing, Brian, is so smart, is that You're giving your information for free on workshops. You're meeting people who are involved in exactly what it is that you want to do. The content speaks to it, and then the digital products that you sell that correspond to it. You basically build an additional library of content, but you build a library of followers, and then people are interested in what it is. So the your next step is that people just want to hear your story. They want to hear about your daughter. They want to hear, how you got to where you are, mixed in with the knowledge and the expertise that you know. And then when you say, hey, what have you done for the community? What have you done for the environment? What have you done for your ethnicity, race, or culture? And then what are you doing for the industry? Then you have thought leadership. People are extremely interested in that. And that lasts so much longer than everything else. Lee Iacocca was the last bastion of the old school. Now you name Gary Vee, you name all the people on Shark Tank, but name me their companies. You can't
Right.
remember the names of their
You
companies. You
don't.
remember the people, because
Yeah.
the people's personal brand is much more important. Clive Davis is no longer with Sony. Someone said, I didn't know that. I said, no, he left a while ago, but he's Clive Davis. You don't care what label he's with. Nobody cares about companies because companies come and go. People care about the person who's going to help them get to where it is that they need to go. They need a person who's vibrant, that has a personality, that's going to give me information. And they're like, you know what? I want to see what Gary Vee says about this. I want to see what Oprah says about that. No one says, let me turn to own, let me turn to whatever the name of Gary Vee's company
And
is.
it's, you know
Don't,
what? It's never been that way. People have
nope.
always wanted to know people, but
And no,
social
and now
media
when you
is,
apply
is
for a
blowing up.
job, you have to have a brand.
Same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing now. When people go looking at your resume, they don't look at your resume. They look at
Right.
social profile.
I
Hmm.
have a post about Clive Davis.
Yep. Oh,
Really?
do you?
Yeah, it's you have
Hey,
to
hey
search
guys,
on
hey
my
guys. I hate to
Yeah.
do it, but I
You
gotta
got to
go.
do
you
fatherhood. We
gotta go.
understand.
You got a
Thank
life,
you so
Yeah, I
Brian.
much,
got.
What's going
Brian.
Yeah,
on?
yeah, I gotta go. I gotta get outside. I put a link to this content strategy workbook and guide in the
Oh,
comment.
good.
If
Hmm.
anybody wants to grab that, and I think I'm gonna make this into a weekly series. It'll probably be a little smaller as the weeks go on because I'm gonna
Hmm.
do smaller pieces of the content creation process. But I'm gonna do this every week.
Yes, yes. That's what I do on Clubhouse. You'll love it.
Oh yeah, yeah. And you know what? Eventually, because I'm more of a behind the scenes kind of guy. I don't really do. I hate social media. I've
Hmm.
never
Me
been on
too.
social media. Yeah, I hate.
I'm here to work. When you're on social
Yeah,
media,
I'm.
it's work,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
exactly. But I use this LinkedIn platform as a way to kind of test the waters and build up my courage to start being more vocal and more visual on social media.
Well, you join the Marketing Cafe because 39,000, it's the largest club in Clubhouse. It's 39,000 members. They do a profile on you. They have a web page. They have 39,000 members globally. And we have about, I think, 55 baristas. So you can do shows on whatever you want. I mean, the people that do just marketing psychology, they have a weekly show on marketing psychology. You get to pick the topics that you want to talk about. And what I found is that there's a direct correlation between Clubhouse and LinkedIn. A lot of Clubhouse users are on LinkedIn.
Yep,
They
I
just sit in the
agree.
room,
Yeah,
they sit in the room and they listen. And the reason people come to the marketing cafe is because we're not all selling anything. We're just giving just what you just did here. People are just giving their expertise for free, and you get straight to the information. So there's not like 19 introductions and 5 books and 25 of your friends speaking. I get in and I get talk to what I'm talking about. And I use the clips from that as content. I'll clip from my show, once a week, and post that as content. And people like it, but I get discovery calls out of it, and they contact me on LinkedIn, but they will tell me that they listen to my show on Clubhouse. So I haven't done an audio event on LinkedIn. So I'm gonna try to do that before the end of the month to test that out.
it's cool. Yeah, it's cool.
Yep.
It's the same as Clubhouse.
Mhm.
I've got some profiles set up in a few places. Clubhouse being one, but I've never really felt comfortable enough. I like LinkedIn, and I'm starting to
Yeah.
get more comfortable with
Yeah,
you.
I don't like, to be honest, I don't like the rest of club. I like to be in a big club where this is all we talk about. I don't want people getting in the room and all of a sudden they start yelling about political things and crazy stuff, and you know,
Right. Exactly.
where people are using it as a soapbox. I like it for professional development, what it is. But I also, with the audio, you get more people because people can multitask. I made, when you guys were talking, I was eating my oatmeal. And when you do live camera, then you have to worry about what's showing up and what's seen, and then the audio, but when you're just doing audio, I find more people. I might be doing a room and it looks like there's only 4 people in the room. By the end of the thing, I look up and it'll say there was 32 people. And then at the final count, there was 52 people. And you're like, oh, okay, there's a whole bunch of people that they only want to talk in the back chat. They don't even feel comfortable being in the room. They're just in the back chat. They don't want to see their name, their name for whatever reason. But I think that people are more authentic on audio and they say what they actually feel or think. Where I think on camera, it's the people who feel comfortable in that environment.
Right.
Some
That's,
people.
yeah, that's so true. That's so true. So in the chat, I've got that free content strategy workbook and guide if anybody's interested in it. And
Oh, good.
if you go to that page and you feel like you want more, you can also schedule a one-on-one. And there's also my content creation framework that I use to build all of my content.
Okay. I'm in a
Great.
meeting. Great. I'm in a meeting chat. I don't see it though. Hold on a second.
So it's in the link. I mean, it's in the links in the chat.
Okay.
It didn't make it active, so you're gonna have to copy and paste.
Gotcha. That's okay.
But I'll see everyone next week. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you so much for your generosity, your expertise.
Oh,
Appreciate it. Mhm.
Absolutely.
thanks
Great to meet you
everyone.
guys.
Yes, thank you.
We'll
Nice
talk
to hear your
soon.
voice, Royce.
We'll be talking in the DM.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
You got it,
Talk
man.
soon.
All right.
Thank
We'll talk
you.
soon. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.